Today's tutorial is inspired by July 4th, which is coming up this weekend, and I'm just painting a simple watercolor floral bouquet, but I'm using reds and blues and green for the stem. And this simple little project is not only easy, but you could change out your colors and use oranges and yellows for fall, or all reds and greens, or blues and whites for winter or Christmas time, and of course spring and summer as well. So this will be a great tutorial to bookmark and keep in your file to refer back to throughout all the seasons if you would like to copy and paint this floral bouquet for yourself. So the inspiration is July 4th, but I wanted something. I don't really decorate for many of the holidays. I'm more of a seasonal decorator, and I just wanted something that I could just kind of tuck in somewhere, kind of as a nod to July 4th, and just something that I could either frame or stick on my fridge or tuck near my plants, just to remind me that, yeah, we're celebrating our Independence Day and it's a good thing. So I've watercolored a few peonies, and now I'm just going in with some blue petals. These are very, very simple petals. I'll add a little bit of darker blue to these after they dry. Right now I'm just kind of shaping them, and you can see these are loose florals, a little bit impressionistic, just shaping the flowers. If you watch until the end, you'll see what really pulls a bouquet like this together, and it's probably not what you think. But whenever I'm painting like this freestyle, I don't really have a plan in mind. I will always remember to finish it through to the end, because there's one step at the end that makes this so pretty, and as a collection of little flowers really brings everything together. So stay with me here till the end and you'll see what that is. I'm going in here and adding some more little blue flowers. I like to not make it look totally symmetrical. That's probably preference. I like to use odd numbers when I can, and I'm really just filling in the spaces as I go and eyeballing it. If that's difficult for you, you can just follow along this tutorial and paint in the sections on your 4x6 card, or you could actually increase the size of your flowers a little bit and paint this on an 8x10, and you could frame that then. These cards, when they're finished, I think are actually great to give away as a card, but also they look really cute framed, or you can just stick them on your fridge, or actually you could put food names on here, or even little ingredients lists for something that you would take to a 4th of July party. So on the bottom of this, I could write baked beans, or grandma's baked beans, or gluten-free cookies, or whatever, and make up a couple of these and use them as decoration for my 4th of July celebration if I wanted to do that. So just a reminder, rinse out your brush and clean off your colors in between color changes, unless you intentionally want things to bleed in. And don't forget, you can go back in and add some dark areas here and there. This little sweet flower is just 3 little upside down teardrops that look kind of odd when they're by themselves like this, but these are a great filler flower. I love filling these in white spaces, just to kind of bring the collection of flowers together and fill in any imbalances. Sometimes I tend to paint more on the left side of my paper for whatever reason, and I'll always go back in and put some of these little guys on the right side just to kind of bring things in balance. And I love leaving little white spaces in this particular petal set, just because I feel like it gives it a little bit of the feel that some light is reflecting, or there's a lighter section there that's catching the light in a little bit different way. And again, I try to go for odd numbers. Sometimes I end up with even numbers, and that's okay, just kind of what looks good. And I'm going back in with a black here, just to give a little bit of definition to the center of these flowers. They're mostly dry. If I went in and they were wet, this black would bleed a little bit too much, although sometimes I actually like that effect and like that bleeding. So it's really up to your preference, kind of what you're in the mood for. I switched out to a smaller brush, and I don't like all the white spaces in these little peonies, so I'm going back in with some dark, more pigmented paint on my smaller brush here, and I just like how it's kind of filling in and it dries really nicely. So don't be afraid to go back in. Generally it's good to go in with a smaller brush for these details, just so you can control things a little bit better and make things a little bit smoother, but it's really up to you. The larger brushes, some of their shapings can lend themselves to really beautiful petals, and I haven't really experimented with much more than my round brush, but I hope to in the future. I'm using my small brush just to go in with some navy blue to draw in a few lines of each individual blue petal here to give it a little bit more depth and distinction, and blending those in ever so slightly. And then the best part is coming up, and this again is freehand for me. I don't really have a plan, but I'm going to add stems and leaves. And I believe that this is the step usually where I'm like, oh, I should throw this away. This is terrible. But I start adding stems and leaves, and things really start coming together. Sometimes my hand is a little shakier and my lines aren't as smooth, but on a bouquet that doesn't matter, because eventually all the stems come to one place in a bouquet. And if you're missing a stem, nobody will know. If you have a shaky stem, you can cover up with multiple other stems, or maybe a longer stem. I like starting with these filler flowers and doing their stems the first. They're the daintiest and the easiest to paint. So I like how they connect through the white spaces behind the different flowers. I don't go over top of any flowers. I'm just giving the impression that each flower is kind of sticking up in front of the flower beside it, or behind it I should say. And I'm trying to connect these as much as possible. I don't necessarily exactly touch the petals, but I get very, very close, and I'm connecting all of them to the stem, and then I will go back in and just do lines for these leaves, and they just look elegant and dainty and fresh. And again, these leaves, because they're slender, I can fill them in anywhere, and they really start bringing this little collection together and making it look cohesive, I think. So just kind of play around. I like to put one leaf on. You could do two if you like. It's totally up to you. Next, I'm going to think about where I want the stems for these blue flowers to go, and what kind of leaves I want. And these I'm going to use a similar stroke that I used for the little red dainty flowers, but I'm going to take my small brush and I'm going to start light, just like I'm doing the leaves of the dainty flowers, but I'm actually going to press down on my brush so that all the bristles lay flat and drag the paint, and you can see it there, and that just leaves such a beautiful organic looking leaf. These are a little bit trickier because I don't have a ton of space to be able to bring them down, but I just kind of fill in where I think it would look pretty, and I'm loading my brush with each of these new leaves with water and paint. So if you find that your brush is dragging and not covering up your white paper, you need to add some more water and paint to your brush so that you get a more smooth drag as you're going. Going back to these peonies, I'll just do a stem, and I don't have too much room for their leaves, so I'm just doing kind of under the flower head, I'm doing some little jagged leaves there, and then I'll go for maybe one leaf on the bottom peony here just to fill in that white space that's kind of standing out to me now. And that's just a typical leaf that I'm just going to fill in the shaping for. No real technique there, but as you can see, this is almost finished. And if you'd like to see more of these tutorials, please subscribe. Encourage me in the comments. Tell me what you would like to see, what you want painted next, and I will be happy to share some more. Thank you.